welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
No Chris.
Oh, God, it's just me. No, Chris. Lee.
You're next.
Look, I know it's been a few weeks since we last did one of these, but surely you must remember your own name and how these things go.
Well, yeah, let's not take too much for fucking granted here, okay?
No, that's true. I mean, the only reason you're self-employed is you can't work for anyone else because they have to retrain you after lunch breaks.
That's it, yeah.
Sorry we've not been around for the last few weeks. I've not been too well, and diabetes sucks, basically.
Yeah.
It's just wiped me out completely, physically and mentally, and I would not wish it on anyone. Maybe. No, it's I've been all over the bloody place with it, and I'm sorry the podcast suffered, and we'll try and make up for it by talking as much crap as we can tonight, and we'll try and fit as much in as possible.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, right, we had an Italian Grand Prix, yeah, that all happened. Right, then we moved on to Singapore because we had a 3-week break. That's quite a lot that we've fit in already. We've already done 3 weeks worth. First Singapore race since 2019. First properly wet Singapore race as well. Mm-hmm. And we learnt a lot about the track's drainage.
It's not great, is it?
Well, it gets rid of the surface water,
It's inconsistent, isn't it? So the drainage itself is quite good, but the way they've got the barriers set up sort of traps it in there and sends it back to the track.
Yeah.
So it's good, better in some places than others, which is kind of the opposite of what you want, because then you get mixed conditions.
I mean, this is the issue with street circuits, because you get a purpose-built circuit, and they take that into account. At least you'd hope Herman Tilke does. But of course, with it being closed roads, something we only know too well over here.
Yep.
Standing water and actually drying the track out can be a problem. And one thing that didn't occur to me, and this is something that Ted Kravitz said actually on Saturday, was that it stays wetter longer because it's more humid.
That genuinely, that's what I was going to say next. I was going to say because I didn't hear that, and I don't know it. But I just thought to myself when you were talking, it's like 80% humidity in the dry.
Yeah, so the water's got nowhere to evaporate to. It's already there.
Yeah.
But seeing as Ted said that must be right. It's fact.
Yeah.
Ted,
makes sense.
Ted is gospel. So, yeah, we ended up with, I'd probably call it a race of two halves.
It was an odd race, wasn't it? I enjoyed it. It was a bit of a flag to flag thriller, but it was really weird because it was one of those races where you kind of thought it could end up like doing nothing for you, but then it just ticked along nicely for the whole race.
Yeah, I mean, every race can't be a classic.
No,
but it wasn't France.
No, definitely not.
Controversial opinion, and and
it's not
I'm
like
not
you.
having,
This.
No, I'm not having that. This isn't going to be like, it's like I'm not having that. It's a gimmick because realistically, virtual safety cars are a new thing anyway. We should scrap virtual safety cars and tighten up proper safety cars, like the restart procedure, so we can try and do it a bit quicker rather than it ticking on for laps and laps and laps. Because as a fan, and for people watching at home, it's much more exciting to drop a safety car out. Yeah, if there's the ability to do it where it doesn't look like contrived, I think we should stick a full safety car out instead of a virtual safety car.
I think the problem is certainly with street circuits that things can be rescued quickly because the marshals are right on trackside. Mm-hmm. And for example, all right, not the best example going, the Albon front wing. Under normal circumstances, a front wing, all the marshals got to do if they throw a virtual safety car is over the fence, get the wing out. Obviously, this one took a little bit longer because it was wedged in between two sets of barriers.
Anywhere, was it?
I mean, that says a lot for the strength of the barriers, if nothing else.
Yeah.
and I don't know if this was bad editing or not, but it actually looked like they'd gone back to green flag while there were still marshals on the track.
No, a lot of people have pointed that out.
One of which being Virtual Statman, I did notice.
Yeah. I made the mistake of getting involved in conversations about fucking green flags being waved, and it didn't time I mute that conversation. Jesus Christ.
Stay off Twitter on a Sunday. It's probably for the best.
Yeah, probably
for you and for everyone else.
It's still going on. Like it's still. I'm sure we'll talk about the incident in a second. But since we've started this podcast, I've had 3 notifications.
They're listening.
But I made this comment like over 24 hours ago, and it's not going anywhere.
Oh, I thought I could see one of them, but no, it was something else. So starting at the back, probably Williams, because that was a double DNF.
They were the first of the double DNFs, weren't they?
Yes. Albon locked up, couldn't turn, stuck it in the wall, and damaged the front end. Managed to limp back to the pits, but there was too much up with the car. Bit of a sort of non-performance, really.
He did well, given that the man was on a ventilator in between last race and this race. I think he did quite well just to get there, to be honest.
Actually, yeah, breathing unaided was actually an achievement for him.
Yeah, it didn't seem like the track to suit the Williams, to be fair.
No.
It would have been interesting. Like, I'm glad Albon's fine. And I'm. Obviously, he's got to drive for next year anyway, so it doesn't matter. I would have enjoyed seeing Nick De Vries get one more race just to see what he would do.
I think we'll see more. We will see more Nick De Vries, won't we? Let's be honest.
I really think we'll be seeing him in a car next year. We'll go full silly season later because it's still 90% silly out there.
Of course,
it is 90% silly, and at least 92% silly to be fair.
I would, push. I would say that far. Other side of the Williams garage. I think Fred Vasseur said it best. Now I don't know if you've heard the quote, Sean. I know you have because I played it to you. Talking about Zhou Guan Yu's retirement. What was it? Sometimes it's technical. Sometimes it's the driver. Sometimes it's Latifi.
Just doing Guan Yu Zhou a disservice because I don't think it has ever been him. I think he's had 2 crashy DNFs where he got punted both times, and everything else has been car failure. It's never him.
No,
it does tend to be Latifi.
He's quietly done a good job this year.
Guan Yu Zhou. Underhyped rookie season, I think, to say that at this point of the season we're talking about him not really having had a crash of his own making is pretty decent.
Quietly got on with it to the point where I'd say he's there or thereabouts with Bottas now.
He's been out qualifying him for a few races now.
And that was the guy that on his day could out qualify Lewis Hamilton as well in the same car. So, he's doing well.
Definitely. I mean, we'll get to Bottas in a bit, but there is the other joke about Latifi as well. This one is mainly for the British listeners because I think they're the only ones that will get this reference. Because, of course, the Latifi family made their money from importing various food brands into Canada. I don't know if one of them was Walls.
Yeah. It's got him a 5-place grid penalty, though, hasn't it? Not that he'll need all 5 places to find himself at the back.
He's going to be demoted to the back of the grid from the back of the box factory. Aren't drivers usually meant to get a bit of a boost? Well, he never checks his mirrors, neither does Stroll. It must be a Canadian thing. But aren't drivers, don't they usually, as soon as they've been announced that they're not going to be with their current team the following year, have a little bit of a sort of uptick in performance?
I mean, it's been known. It hasn't. I was going to say it didn't really happen with Daniel Ricciardo, but he had a pretty good race this weekend. But
it's not what's happened for Latifi, though, is it?
It's time, isn't it? It's time for Latifi to not be there anymore.
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years in, and he's still forgetting to look for people coming up the inside of him on the straight.
That was pretty crackers.
Yeah. I mean, he said, the car got into a blind spot. Well, if you can see a car that's there, and then can't see the car that's there, then obviously
leave a gap.
Yeah, it's not been kidnapped by aliens. It's still going to be there. You just can't see it.
Yeah. It's not ideal. I mean, to be perfectly honest, when you look at the drivers that might be coming into Formula One and the ones that are still there, I mean, that was probably puts Stroll as the kind of the odd one out, but he's miles better than Latifi. So at least we're getting back to that point in Formula One where
everyone on the grid deserves to be on the grid.
Yeah.
I think with Latifi is just F1 was a step too far. Competent F2 driver does not make for a championship challenger.
I think he was too old.
Spent too long in F2.
Yeah, I think if he'd have come into Formula One a little bit sooner, he might have fared better. But just that long in F2 is not. It's not the way to make an F1 driver.
Yeah, but is he? He's younger than Nick De Vries, isn't he?
Yeah, but Nick De Vries is older than you think he is.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Latifi is 27 and Nick De Vries is a year older, I think.
But that still makes Latifi older than your sort of George Russell, Lando Norris lot, who all got into F1 before him.
And it's not. I don't necessarily mean it in ages, in like years, just years spent in F2, because he was in F2 for a long time.
Yeah, he was in F2 at least a season, if not two, before the Lando Norris, George Russell, Albon cohort, and they all got straight into F1.
Mm-hmm.
And he was adequate in F2.
Adequate is exactly that. He won. Well, he didn't win, did he? De Vries won, but his championship contender year was because everyone who was better than him had already got a seat.
Yeah, and he was second that year, wasn't he?
Yes.
He won four races, so it's not like he was in like a hotly contested like second place. There was clearly a lot of people winning races that year. If he comes second, then he only won 4.
Yeah, it was a bit of a sort of also ran year of F2 from what I remember of it.
Yeah,
hasn't really been like I don't. Maybe we were just spoilt with the, when you've got a. Because I mean, De Vries clearly showed he was a good driver in Formula E. He came into Formula One, he's done one race, and he's shown that there's something about him there. And when he's the driver that doesn't make it through to Formula One, because you have Albon, Lando, George Russell, maybe we were spoilt that year, because I always think of that year of F2 now, and we might never see like F2 like that for a long time, with so many drivers that are just ready to come to Formula One, and not just have drivers that are ready to come to Formula One, have the seats available for them as well. I think that was the mega thing, really.
Yeah, I mean the fact that all 3 drivers actually got in, and were matching the teammates straight away.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So, yeah. Right, moving up one. About 10 years ago, Top Gear did a feature called Is Your Car Good or French?
Aha, yes.
And a lot of Renaults were mentioned in that.
But these aren't Renaults, they're Alpines.
It's still officially a Renault it's still officially a Renault engine. And they're the bits that blew up on both of them.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
Shame on it. I was really looking forward to watching what happened between Lando and Alonso. Because they've found themselves on the same bit of tarmac a few times through the season, and they always seem to have a good scrap with each other. And I think we'd have been in for another like just race-long battle between those two.
Yeah, and then Alonso's engine lets go as well, and
yep.
I mean, what was that, his 350th start?
It was number 350.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
the best way to celebrate.
Races? No. Most races entered, wasn't it, I think?
That would sound about right.
Yeah, I think Kimi Räikkönen was the one before, and he had 149 obs. Yeah, may there be another 300.
You want to see him racing till he's 60? Actually,
Yep.
actually no, 300 races. That's 2 seasons if
Yeah,
Liberty get the
maybe
way.
True.
season and a half, maybe.
Are we including sprints in that?
Yeah, might
Why
as well.
not? Why not?
Yeah, 6 sprint races next season. That's
I think I still wish I know we can't do it because fucking Monaco's there. I just think it should be part of the race format now.
Why not do it in Monaco?
Because we can't race in Monaco for a whole race, let alone
The
a short
sprint
one.
parade.
Yeah, it's at least it gives people more chance to see the drivers. But yeah, I just think it should be part of the weekend. It works in F2. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
In Formula One.
Yeah,
I think it's the half in, half outness of it, isn't it? It's either do it for all of
Yeah.
them or don't do it. Just this weird. Oh, we're gonna do it 6 of them. Why?
Yeah, it really annoys me. Like that, it's another one of the like Formula One fans, or maybe not even Formula One fans. I think lots of it might be the whole Drive to Survive fans, like complaining about it. And you go, well, you don't seem to bother about the junior formula, and if you like Formula One, surely the chances, if you like 60 laps of a Grand Prix, chances are you're gonna like 25.
Seems fair.
yeah. Unless it's in France.
Unless it's in France.
That's very true. Yes.
But I mean, looking at the positives for Alpine from this week. Well, Alonso did well in qualifying.
Yeah.
Mm.
And was going well in the race.
Yeah. What happened to Ocon on Saturday? Though?
His brakes did not function correctly in one of the heaviest braking tracks of the calendar.
Oh, that's not ideal.
It was not good
not
for him,
Going
no.
to be useful.
No, so I mean he'd made up because obviously he was out in Q1, so he was making up places. If he hadn't had the engine implosion and had got the tyre switch at the right time, he could have had better forward progress, but not to be.
I do feel though that he's gone off the boil somewhat, and I'm not sure what it is because he seemed to be hassling Alonso for a little bit, and now that just seems to have completely disappeared.
Let's have a look. When was the last time he?
Or it might be right. It just feels that way. It feels, especially qualifying, because I do think Alonso's been unlucky in races.
The last time Ocon beat Alonso was in Austria.
Which is a few races back.
Actually,
now.
twice in Austria because he beat him in the sprint.
What was there any shenanigans Alonso wise there during the race?
What, in Austria?
I do not recall.
He just finished 10th. That was it.
Just finished 10th.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just feel like I don't know whether Alonso's upped himself and he's got his feet back under the table in Formula One.
Well, it took until Monaco to have more championship points than penalty points. So yes, I think he has upped his game a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I mean. He's had I know Alonso. I thought it was quite funny actually on the race podcast. They said the Alonso, when you ask Alonso how many points he's missed out on this year, it's kind of just like a lottery now of what number he'll say. So, but he always seems to overhype it a little bit. Right? He's definitely gone 40 points begging, I think. Due to no fault of his own, for shenanigans happening. But I think Alpine's really done themselves here because they've lost their rookie. Alonso's off.
Mm-hmm.
Ocon's, Ocon's not the fucking Formula One driver you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And Gasly is a decent Formula One driver, but he's never strikes me as a team leader.
And Ocon and Gasly hate each other.
They really don't get on.
Good.
Someone shagged someone's girlfriend, allegedly. I can't remember which way round, but it's a whole drama.
Brilliant.
So that if that happens, there's going to be some relationship management, I think, within the Alpine garage.
Drive to Survive 2024 will be even soapier than the last few seasons.
Tremendous.
I could just see it now. Sort of, Otmar's there. He's got Ocon in the driver's briefing room. He's like, meet your new teammate, and Gasly walks in. You just get the EastEnders. Do 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 do.
You rear-ended me. Your ex didn't mind. Yeah. Oh well, that's good.
We'll just let that one sink in. Right, where are we going next from the double DNFs? Because now it gets a little bit all over the
would
place.
Would it be Haas?
I think it would be Haas, 12th and 13th. K-Mag in 12th, with the number of mandatory repair flags that he's getting. He's rapidly becoming known as the Danish meatball.
Yeah, championship
I was
leader
a real
in
shame
meatball.
from that, wasn't it? It wasn't really his fault either, was it? He just got pinched.
He just seems to have gone through a phase of just finding shit on the first lap.
Yeah.
It's always the front wing. Haas have had a front wing problem since the first season, because we used to take the piss out of Grosjean going through front wings at an alarming
was
rate.
that not just Grosjean?
That was Grosjean, but it's kind of carried on.
Yeah. I feel that might be a user issue rather than a car issue.
But yeah, K-Mag was it was looking good this weekend, but once again just gets snarled up in something, and all of a sudden, out comes the flag, back to the pits, lose an absolute ton of time. Yeah,
it was a shame for him because he'd probably been on for a good finish as well. You know, the way the race wound out in the end. And it's right, Mick Schumacher at some, because apparently Mick Schumacher lost out under the safety car. I must have been looking at something else, because he turned around in the interview I saw where he suggested that he was on for 6th at one point.
So he punctured, didn't he? Did he have a bit of a thing with George Russell? And
yes,
there
was
definitely got a puncture.
Yeah, because they both came together and they both ended up with a puncture, which is why they both finished a lap down.
Yes,
but that was after everything had shook out. He was, because he was already back there with George Russell. That's what I mean. At some point, he seems to think that when everything shook out, he'd have been like 6th or 7th.
Does sound a stretch. I think, if something had played out slightly differently, because I mean George made another pit stop late on as well. Maybe he could have been challenging for a point, but I think that's most ambitious. 6th seems, a little bit chatty.
Be interesting to know what was wrong, I think, with, and this isn't me making George Russell excuses, but I know we're not talking about it, but I'd love to know what happened with his car this weekend.
Looked like the engine wasn't up to...
Yeah, it
wasn't as good as the thought.
Wasn't happening, was it?
Yeah. They replaced the whole powertrain, started from the pit lane, thought they could strategize the way out of it, and the rain pulled a Ferrari on them.
Yeah. Well, he was down there because of a torque issue, wasn't he? It was the I can't remember how it was described.
They had some drama with the engine, sort of basically not giving everything it's meant to during qualifying, so changed it.
It sounded like that same thing. Who had it this year? Oh, it was Leclerc, wasn't it? That when he went off throttle, it was still on throttle a bit. And I think that's what happened to him in quali.
Yeah, because he was. It was quite a
thick end of 2 seconds. Thick end of 2 seconds off Lewis, and it's like as much as the Drive to Survive Lewis fans would have been salivating over that, it's not right, that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's like we know George Russell is all right in the wet as a general rule, so it should have been a good quali and race
podium in Belgium.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yeah.
Are we doing Mercedes?
Well, I thought it was still on. Thought it was still on Haas or target practice as they're rapidly becoming.
Done, innit?
I don't know that I have more banter on Haas.
I don't think there's a great deal. Probably Alfa Romeo next.
Just quickly then, before we go, Haas. What do you think about because we've missed a few weeks, haven't we?
Yes.
About Hulkenberg still being in the line for the seat at Haas.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, I
Why
mean,
the-
he's only just been surpassed by Nicholas Latifi in the championship.
I think that's mental, though. I don't get me wrong. I know Daniel Ricciardo is like maybe a little bit of soiled goods at the minute, but I don't care what shape Daniel Ricciardo's in. A slightly out of shape Ricciardo coming out of McLaren has to be a better option. Than a fucking half-retired Nico Hülkenberg.
I guess it would come down to things like salary demand as well. I imagine Ricciardo still wants top tier.
I mean, he's
salary.
Ricciardo's getting paid by McLaren next year.
Yeah.
As part of the severance. But I heard a quote from Gunther this weekend where he said, yes, we would want Daniel Ricciardo, but Daniel Ricciardo would have to want us. So I think it's a case of Ricciardo doesn't necessarily want to go there.
It's a shame.
You know, if it's you're taking a seat just to get a seat and stay on the grid, you're into Kovalainen at Caterham territory.
Do we know as well, with McLaren paying Daniel Ricciardo, if that is without any sort of caveat, or is that we're paying you if you don't find other work? Like when Kimi didn't drive for a year and earned more than anyone else who did drive that year.
No, they
it's just, here's your money, please go.
Yeah,
no, it's actually come
fair
out.
enough. Fair
They've
days.
actually come out and said they are paying his salary.
Okay.
And I think it was Martin Brundle that said that if you get to drive, he'll get the wages from that as well.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I heard what's his name? Fuck me, I've been so bad with names lately. McLaren boss,
Andreas Seidel?
No, the other one, the proper
Zach
boss.
Brown.
Yeah, he said in an interview, like he said, we want Daniel on the grid if he can get on the grid. We also offered him a seat in one of our other cars in another series, but he wants to stay in Formula One. And he said our deal with Daniel doesn't stop him doing or going anywhere he wants to.
Fair dues. That's reasonable behaviour from McLaren.
So it looks like anywhere he wants to might well not include Haas at the minute.
I just think it's such a risky move. I don't see how he becomes anything less than Nico Hülkenberg, but without the results beforehand to back for you. It's not like he's Fernando Alonso. It's not like that. We know Fernando had issues with McLaren, so he had some iffy races. But even though that car was iffy, he still pulled out a couple of fucking spectacular drives to finish like 10th. But he was still clearly driving well. But like, I don't see how Ricciardo's built the points up to be on the shopping list for anyone a year after that.
I think he's still holding out hope of the Alpine seat.
He
doesn't even seem mentioned in that chat, though, does he?
No, he hasn't really. He's not really featured there.
See, for me, obviously, fucking, they've got more information than I could ever possibly have, but it seems like a much more sensible option for Ricciardo, if he still indeed believes in himself, which might be the biggest problem. If he was to go to Haas, smash Magnussen into dust, and at the same time, because the other thing I've thought is whether, because we had it with Mercedes and Schumacher, didn't we? Where Rosberg beat Schumacher, but we didn't go, what a good job Rosberg's done. We went, oh, Schumacher's not doing a very good job, is he? Then then Lewis comes into the team with Nico, and Nico compares very favorably to Lewis Hamilton. So if McLaren get a new partner for Lando Norris, and all of a sudden Lando fucking obliterates Oscar Piastri, then we need to ask more questions about how much of a bad job Ricciardo did if Piastri can't get on anywhere near Lando either.
Yeah, I think that will be the telling thing next year. I mean, Piastri's a bit of a complete unknown quantity. I say a bit. I think he's tested F1 cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Alpine keeps saying they paid a fortune for him to test F1 cars.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's got the toughest job of any driver coming into Formula One since Albon got moved into the Red Bull with Verstappen.
It's going to be there's going to be a lot of eyes on him, aren't there? It's going to be a
Lot-
very under the microscope rookie year.
Lot of eyes, just because of all the controversy that surrounded him and the hype. You know, the idea of a rookie having like 3 teams after him essentially, and then throwing one under the bus to go to McLaren. But on top of that, you've got a guy which is settled in McLaren. He's absolutely their boy, and I think Lando is a slightly better car for us to be going. Is he like maybe the best driver on the grid? So those sort of conversations, the sort of conversations you'd have about Jenson Button when he was in a Williams or when he was in BAR. He'd be like, is he sort of like the champion in waiting here? He just needs the car. So I think that could shine well on Ricciardo if his replacement gets fucking done as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously another major sort of thing that's probably in the Ricciardo situation is he likes the car a certain way and the car to act a certain way, as has been said all the time while he's been struggling in McLaren.
Yeah.
And if the Haas is a very similar, not as pointy as the McLaren is, maybe that's not for him, and maybe that's why he's not looking to go there.
Maybe that's it. That very well could be it. There's only a few drivers on the grid, I think, that can work their way around a problem. Verstappen's definitely one. Lando Norris is one.
Vettel's proved that he isn't.
Vettel's proved that he isn't. Lewis Hamilton's proved that he isn't as well. Like this is the thing. I don't think necessarily being able to work your way around a problem doesn't mean you're the best driver. It just means it's not necessarily a tool that's in your toolbox. Kimi Räikkönen was also one. Like Kimi, if Kimi was thing with brakes, if he didn't feel the brakes properly, then there was just no pace out of Kimi whatsoever. You remember what it was like in Lotus when he first went there? They took ages trying to dial that in for him. But yeah, Ricciardo just seems to be that guy that when everything's sort of aligned and the car's working for him, he's one of the quickest guys on the grid. But clearly getting that McLaren into that window to work for him just isn't there.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way you can describe that. Right, so yeah, I think Alfa Romeo next. Zhou Guan Yu in 20th, first of the retirements, and Bottas just outside the points in 11th. What's happened to Bottas's wet weather ability?
Was it ever there?
I was going to say, I don't have him down as a remarkable wet weather driver.
Well, no, I'm saying it's arrived.
Has it?
Yeah, it was wet and he finished.
It was wet and he was finished.
Congratulations, sir. You didn't make a mess. Yeah, I think the highlight of his race was that he saw that George Russell was locking up and managed not to turn into him. That I think was pretty much all we saw of Valtteri, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's down for the performance award, participation award.
Very
for
much
this
a
week.
Participation.
Yeah, we just barely got to see any of him. If you can hear anything in the background, it's Bruno attacking a cardboard box.
Wow.
We barely saw anything of him sort of throughout the course of the weekend. Went out in Q1, finished outside the points.
Yeah, he's mind you, I suppose the car's faded slightly, hasn't it? From where it was at the beginning of the season, but is this just it now for Bottas? Does he just fade for a while until he becomes Rubens Barrichello?
Is he? I think he's possibly more taking like the Kimi approach. And that he's now just kind of cruising around.
Maybe cruising around, picking checks up,
Yeah.
being valuable for the team for sim work, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a waste.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be there next year, but I mean, it may well be that all the development is now sort of going heavily onto next year's car, and we might see Alfa Romeo for one last season under that name fly out the blocks. And then when
well, they flew out the box this year. They've just everyone else has caught up and passed. I mean, they were he was 6th, I think, in most of the first races.
Yeah,
or top 6. He was up there.
I mean, I think the team's in a bit of a state of flux at the moment as well, because, I mean, Sauber are looking to sell out to Audi.
Yeah.
And that's under negotiation. So they're probably not wanting to invest too much when, at any point within the next 3 to 18 months, they're not going to own 75% of the team.
Yeah, by all counts, that deal's done, isn't it? Like that's a thing that's going to happen. Yeah. It's just not announced. Probably be announced in the off season. Maybe there could even be some sort of. Is this the last year of Alfa Romeo?
No, that's next year.
Right. I wonder if there's a clause in the Alfa Romeo advertising that says, we can have the advertising for another year on your car, but you're not allowed to say that this is going to magically turn into an Audi next year.
Yeah, I wonder.
That was it.
Well, the thing is that they're trying to purchase part of the Audi are actually trying to purchase part of the whole Sauber organisation.
Yeah.
So if and when that goes through, that will have to be announced, because it will be a material change of ownership to an entrant.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So Alfa Romeo can say what they want, but that it could well be sometime between now and this time next year that there'll be Alfa Romeo badges splashed all over what is effectively an Audi.
Yeah, maybe. I can't see it not happening though. Let's face it, Sauber aren't scared of a fucking hookup. Like it's been the slag of the grid, hasn't it? Really. Any chance it can do to get something slapped on it or in it or over it.
Yeah, BMW, Longbow tried to sell to Red Bull, but Jaguar were cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one. Watch Pointless tonight, and one of the jackpot questions. If you could name any Red Bull driver in the history, and there were 3 pointless answers that would have won £3,000 if you can name any of them. Can you do it?
You tested me earlier. I got one of the pointless ones. It was fine.
Red Bull drivers that have drove for Sauber?
No. Red Bull drivers. In the big boy, any driver in the big boy Red Bull team.
So in pointless, you're looking for the most obscure answer.
Right. Oh, right. Okay.
So it's like the opposite of Family Fortunes.
Liuzzi.
Yep. That was pointless.
That was my one.
Christian Clean.
Also pointless.
Very good.
David Coulthard.
Wasn't pointless.
Oh, was it not?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, the other one. I'll give you one more go.
Was there another Christian, like Cristiano D'Amata or something like that?
He was in Toyota.
The
team that was on actually tried to give Fernando Alonso as an answer. They got that wrong.
Oh, that's. I mean, to be fair, the amount of teams he's been around now, fair shout for an opportunity of trying. I'm trying to think. Webber? Did Webber stay for a year after? Because did Webber do Jaguar?
Yeah, Webber stayed for a year. Not bad for a number 2, mate.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. No. Sorry. I was thinking of the changeover year then.
But no, there is one other Red Bull driver from their history that no one managed to name.
Albon?
Nope.
No, who?
Robert Doorknobs.
Even I'd forgot that. I could have continued to do like I'd have said Ralph Furman before that.
I think I came out with like Patrick Friesacker and all these kinds before I would thought of Dornbos.
Yeah, Robert Dornbos, on a list of Formula One drivers, technically he should be on it.
I'm fairly happy with Christian Klein, to be honest.
Well, I mean, he was the original Red Bull back driver. He was the start of the Red Bull Young Driver program.
Yeah. Just when the meat grinder was still shiny and clean.
Clean?
Hey.
Right, where are we next? Guess we're up into the points next with AlphaTauri. Yuki DNF and Gasly in 10th.
This was what my Twitter altercation was over, was the green flag after the Yuki Tsunoda crash. A lot of people saying that they thought the green flag was fine because it was after the incident. It was like 12 foot after the incident.
It was immediately after, wasn't it? It was right after.
Like how anybody can think that's an acceptable way to fucking marshal. I've no idea. Apparently one of the people I argued with was I believe he had missed apex in his bio, so I think he might be one of the people that go on missed apex. But the fact that he started his thing by saying, well, somebody clearly doesn't know how flags work. And I think, well, somebody clearly has sex with his mother. But I don't fucking understand how anyone can think 12 foot after the car is fine.
No, I didn't see that, but no, I mean, there's normally at least one more light box.
It was literally right next to the car.
They seem to think that because, like, if you've got a yellow flag out, it's a yellow flag for that sector, and people say, yeah, but the sectors are only made up for Formula One races. There's more sectors on a circuit. You go, yeah, but they're not used during a Grand Prix, are they? If there's fucking 3 sectors on the circuit, that's the 3 sectors for the race weekend.
Yeah, if there's a yellow flag, you cannot be setting your best time in that whole sector, even if it's only one corner that's got a drama.
I mean, don't forget, it's not. I mean, the 3 sectors are just there for timing purposes purely. The track's broken down into a hell of a lot more mini sectors, which are split up between marshalling points.
Yeah,
but you still wouldn't have it essentially right next to a crash. You would have that's what I'm saying.
Point. The next one further along. So as you're passing the crash, you're still seeing a yellow. Then you see green once you're actually past the crash site.
Yeah,
because it does sound dangerous if you're approaching a car in a wall with the driver still sat in it,
and you can see a green flag.
Well, what happens if you slowed down and then you gun it and your rears let go?
Yeah, well, the thing is there, it's like, yeah, well, the crash was just there, and just past the crash was clear. You go, yeah, well, what if a wheel had come off? What if there's bits of his front wing that slid down the track? And at that point, it makes no sense to think that the incident is literally where the car is.
Yeah, you know, there needs to be a safety buffer afterwards.
Yeah, I find it really weird, and the fact that the yellows weren't even out. That guy had a fucking green flag out before the yellows were even dropped. Like, Yuki Tsunoda was still in the car when that
right. Sean's just showing it to me now. Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Mental, innit? Mental.
He's sticking it out through like the same crash barrier that there's a car in.
Yeah.
Maybe he was reaching for a yellow and picked up the wrong one.
But it was so stupid. Like, the arguments online were so stupid about it. Because just by going, yeah, I don't think he should have done that, instantly everybody was trying to be like some sort of like plastic good guy by saying, yeah, actually their job is really difficult, and I think it's kind of bad that you're criticizing his job. He's kind of doing his job wrong. It was really weird. I don't like it. It's another thing of modern Formula One we hate.
I mean, it's knowing a lot of people that have done it at various race meetings. It is not easy being a marshal. I'll be the first person to say that, and I will also say I don't think I could do it.
The other thing
made it look more difficult.
In an instance like that, the car literally goes in, and out comes the flag. You can take an extra couple of seconds and go, do we need to have a flag out here? Do we need to be green? Do we need to be yellow? You've got, you don't need to be like, instantly flag.
It might not
Yeah.
have been the marshal's choice. It could have been race control onto him saying put the green flag out, in which case race
Very
control
true.
fucked up.
Very true.
Could have been, yeah, absolutely. I must say, I do find it difficult to believe that Yuki Tsunoda went into the wall and before he'd even got out of the car, race control already gone green flag.
Yeah, that would be odd.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing screams to me that he might have just picked the wrong flag up.
The way he was waving it like you with the vigor that you would wave a waved yellow.
Yeah. Maybe he lied. Maybe he's colorblind.
It
I
happens.
really want to be a marshal. Really, really want to be a marshal. Are you colorblind? No.
That's probably another reason why I couldn't.
Yeah,
be.
you should not be a flag marshal. No.
No. Could you fly a plane? No. Then you can't be a marshal.
No, you can fly if you're colourblind. It's trains you're not allowed to drive.
You can't be a commercial pilot if you're colorblind.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do I have to return my copy of Flight Simulator?
No, that's fine.
Oh, right, okay.
Just as long as you've got someone sat next to you, you can do it.
Does a cat count?
Yes.
Oh, right, we're sorted. Right, next time I load up Flight Simulator, I'll prepare a little nest for Dizzy to sit next to me in the passenger seat. Where were we? Yeah, Gasly with 10th place. Again, didn't really seem to get up to a great deal. Anyone remember anything?
The only noteworthy thing is that he was the first person to come into the pits when Russell started doing purple sectors. But everyone else was that quickly behind him. He didn't really get a jump, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, that was about it, and had the instruction come from on high to get the remaining AlphaTauri in so they could see what it was like for the Red Bulls. I know that's a constant conspiracy theory, especially after the deploy Yuki the other week. That was a really badly timed tweet.
Yes.
Didn't think it would actually happen. Right, Mercedes next up. Russell, we've already touched on a little bit because of the problems in qualifying, problems with the engine, problems with keeping out of Mick Schumacher's side pod.
I do sort of admire that he tried to make the dry tyre work before anyone else. Like, that's, you're out of position. It's not going your way anyway. You might as well roll the dice.
I wish I'd had royalties on the Bambi on Ice meme.
Yeah. Yeah, he went a few laps early, but fair play. You have a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there was a chance to bring him in for a tyre change fairly soon after that, when it was obvious that it wasn't working under the next VSC, they didn't bother and they just left him out there. Yeah, he did get the fastest lap, which we were wondering why, but
the only logic could be that he is. I mean, it's a slightly bigger gap now, but he only had a very small gap to Perez, who is the next person ahead of him in the championship. So it might be that they're thinking it comes down to being quite tight there, and that every point is valuable.
Because it was only 7 points at the start of the race.
Yeah, so I think it probably was more about taking the point from Perez than in any way hoping he would somehow miraculously end up in the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, where did he finish?
14th.
14th. See, yeah.
Last.
I mean, expecting like 4 cars to drop out might be.
It was not beyond reasonable thing, was it? That it could have happened.
I mean, there was somebody on the prediction league last week predicted 16 DNFs, and at one point it was looking like that was going to come in.
Well, all you've got to do is look at the way Leclerc and Perez were racing each other towards the end of the race. That could have very easily been two cars gone, in a corner.
And so the Vettel, Verstappen, Hamilton cluster as well. They were going at it late on.
I mean, I was expecting Max to actually take somebody out at some point with frustration, or Lewis to take somebody out with frustration.
Well, Lewis took himself out, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, turn 7, same place that Max had his off.
Very lucky, actually, that he didn't do worse damage to the car, and he did it at a time when he could just come in and make a pit stop, and it just happened to be the right time. I think it could have been a lot worse for him.
Yeah, it was a strange one as well, because I can kind of I can kind of see why Max did it, because he started on a back foot, so he had that mindset of, I need to do everything I can possibly do to move forward here. And Max is a fucking out and out racer, isn't he? It doesn't matter whether he's 1 point ahead in the championship or 100 points ahead in the championship. He's gonna attack every fucking lap that comes across him. What surprised me with Lewis was that he was. I think if he hadn't done that, he'd been on the podium. He'd have got Carlos Sainz eventually.
He was looking good for it, but you look back and I see a lot of similarities between the way that both Lewis and Max went off. It was kind of impatient.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think it was impatient. I think there was at that point of the race, because you had a drying line on the racing line, and then a soaking wet offline. So it was soaking wet. But if I can't help think that you knew the track was going to dry out.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear that at some point we were going to get slick tires on. So you could have either hoped that your team strategized you a way past, or knowing that let's just say they ended up pitting together. It was just one of those situations where they pit together, or it didn't make enough of a difference to get somebody ahead of somebody else. Then you've got DRS to try and help you get past in a DRS zone without having to YOLO it on the wet side of a track on used tires.
I mean, that corner is a nightmare to pass in anyway. We were watching the W Series race earlier on when it was still dry.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Chadwick had an identical off.
Yep.
On that corner, and again that was impatience, because she'd qualified well out of position, and she was trying to make up as many places as possible, and absolutely went for it on turn 7, bounced off the curb and straight in. But that one was straight into the barrier.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed like an un-Lewis Hamilton-esque mistake. And to be perfectly honest, it's probably I realize people get upset when you talk about Lewis, but it's more of a compliment than anything else, because you're not. It's something you're not used to seeing.
You don't expect it from him.
Yeah, and when Lewis goes for a move, you expect him to make it 9 times out of 10.
Unless it's with Max, then something always happens.
I did really think when they were together on track, I thought, are we gonna? Oh.
I thought, is it going to happen again? And am I just closing all web browsers and social media for the rest of the week?
As a neutral to both of those people, I just want. No, I am, because I don't support neither Max nor Lewis. I just wanted it for the internet. I did. I just wanted it for Twitter. I could have turned the race off at that point and just watched Twitter.
Moving on. Aston Martin. Nosebleed territory for them.
Best race of the year?
Yeah,
has to be.
Potentially.
I think it is. I think that is actually their best result. Let's have a look.
I couldn't tell you anything of significance from Lance Stroll's race.
Do you know that is only Aston Martin's second double points finish of the season?
Fair dues.
That is straight up cray, yo.
But yeah, Stroll, as far as I can tell, just got on with it.
Wasn't the worst Canadian, wasn't the worst in an Aston Martin.
Didn't make a tit of himself on the wrong tyre at the wrong time, which is a classic Stroll.
Do you know what it kind of did just show you, though? That it is definitely time for Vettel to go.
I don't know. He did some good defensive stuff, didn't he? Like, he seemed to have Verstappen and Alonso and Hamilton and all that lot sort of on him quite a lot.
Hear me out.
Go on.
So he had a good race. He had a good race in a car that was working pretty well, and Stroll finished ahead of him.
True.
That's if there was anything at all of the old Seb left, then there isn't a chance that he finishes behind Stroll.
The old Seb isn't there anymore. The
No.
old Seb died when he went to Glastonbury.
Maybe. Do you think that's when he became a hippie?
Possibly.
Yeah, I'm not digging this whole fucking headband Seb either.
No, I'm not a fan of the headband look.
I mean,
No.
he does sort of look like he's modelling himself on a 1990s Argentinian footballer.
Or a tennis player.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, could see it.
Yeah. Either way, I'm not a fan, and as you know, I'm a big believer in the hair makes the driver.
I mean, I have nothing against long hair.
No,
I can't really say anything about being against having long hair, seeing as I have.
I have pretty shoulder length hair myself at the minute.
Oh, it grew back.
Yeah, and then some. I'm thinking about shaving it off again.
But yeah, reverse Samson syndrome. The longer the hair gets, the slower Seb gets. I still don't think he's going to finish the season.
I think he'll finish the season now. There was a hot minute where I was thinking, I'm not counting it out that all of a sudden, Seb Vettel turns around and says, about all this retirement thing, I'm actually going to go to Alpine for a year and see how that shakes out.
He has been.
Yeah.
He was rumored to be doing a test with them, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I think Schumacher was involved in the same test, so whether it was a sort of buy one German get another free deal, I don't know.
He probably just went to help make out.
Yeah.
I mean, what would really make me laugh is he does go before the end of the season. Hulkenberg comes back, scores a point, and then Latifi's 22nd.
Yes.
Yes, that'd be tremendous. I'd be happy with that. Yeah, that's definitely, if that was happen, it's time for you to leave. It's time to go.
He's
now.
going.
Yeah, that's enough. Joke's over. I mean, again, if you don't know if Seb wants to do it, he might have retirement in his head now. I still don't believe he wants to retire. I think he's being card out rather than he's in the same position Alonso was in, I think, when Alonso had to leave McLaren because he was sick of the positions he was in.
Well, I mean, Seb has done another social media post, and it appears to be hinting at something, an announcement coming soon.
Exciting.
That could be car-related.
Alpine.
I wonder if he's going to take over DTM from Gerhard Berger.
Interesting.
Maybe. But I don't know. It just feels. I just feel nostalgic for older drivers, especially ones that don't seem to finish their careers how I think they should do. You know, it's the same feeling I've got with Ricardo. I don't want these people to fall out like this because they haven't got to the age where they should be falling off the cliff performance-wise. So you want them to have another chance just to go, I just want to do a mediocre season.
But do you want them to turn into Rubens Barrichello?
What, fucking with their fingernails trapped in the door of Formula One while they're trying to get hauled out? I suppose that's not great. I mean, there's still scratch marks on the floor of Williams HQ, isn't there?
I mean, that's what Massa became towards the end as well.
Well, he tried to retire, didn't he? But he got like somehow Rosberg's retirement outranked his retirement, and he had to come back.
Yeah. But I mean, Mass is one of those weird ones. I think everyone's happy he got to race again. But if we're all honest, should he have raced again after his accident? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely wasn't the driver that he was before, but
which is a shame. Cause...
How much of that was team orders? Do you understand this message? And then the Williams move.
In the first couple of years, the Williams was good.
It was a fucking good car, second best car on the grid he had. And I see that's the thing. I think that Williams was capable of winning races that year. and not battling for championships, but they should have won a race.
Yeah, but this is one of Flood's favourite points about that era of Williams. They forgot how to win, and they started panicking when they were in winning positions as a team.
I think they forgot how to win, but I also don't think they had the drivers that were capable of winning. I think that might be half of the problem. It's not just Williams; it's Williams and the fact that they just didn't have anyone to do the job. Whereas, Massa before his accident ran Lewis Hamilton like that. I mean, that was the closest championship that Lewis Hamilton's had, apart from the one he lost to Rosberg. So you've got that one, and it was just as close with him and Max. It was like ridiculously close championship that he should have lost. Lewis shouldn't have won the 2008 World Championship because Glock gave it to him.
He shouldn't have lost it because Massa would have won Singapore if PK hadn't crashed.
Yeah.
And once again, it was all Flavio's fault.
He usually is. He usually is. But he throws a good party by all accounts. So
I love Flavio Briatore because do you know what I like about him? He's just completely unapologetic and 100% Flavio.
Alonso spent some of the gap in between previous race and this race in the Briatore club in Monaco, posting photos.
I didn't realise he had a club in Monaco.
Oh, yeah, he's got a club in Monaco which has like his own face on the outside of it.
Oh, amazing.
Virtual Statman told us all about this one time, but didn't actually name Briatore, but it's very easy to Google it.
Yeah. See, that's true. Like, can you just think about that for a second? The process, the thought process that goes behind that when you're talking to an architect. So what do you want on the front? Me. What? Just my face. At that point, it's the guy must be there going like, is he serious about this? He's paying me. I best design it. Great. Love the man.
McLaren next. Best result of the season for him, I think.
Yeah, it's decent, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah, got lucky with the way that everything played out.
I mean, a little bit of luck, and again, it's a kind of you roll the dice, isn't it? When everyone switches onto slicks, there's a good chance someone isn't going to be ready, but has to go because everyone else is. So therefore, there is a good chance you're going to get a safety car.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. It worked out very well for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's put them back up to fourth in the Constructors' Championship now. They're 4 points ahead of Alpine after the double DNF.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but battle's on. Lando was on it all weekend. And
driver of the race for me, Lando.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that he actually didn't get right. I won't say got wrong. It was just I can't think of anything he didn't get right. We didn't see him struggling with the car. We didn't see him sort of lock up.
I think he just outperformed the car. That's my thing. It's easy to miss the fact he outperformed the car because Ricciardo was pretty much right behind him. But Ricciardo, he looked in with a safety car where Lando qualified there. Lando was started the race there or thereabouts where he was, and continued to run in that position. He obviously benefited from benefited from Lewis falling out of the race, and probably benefited from Max Verstappen not being able to come through a bit further.
Yeah,
but I think he just outperformed his McLaren. Great drive.
I think for both of them actually, it was just one of those where everything just quite nicely fell their way, and they made it work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's qualifying still a major issue.
But got a good start. Picked just the way the pits fell, found himself track position wise, and won with the safety car.
Do you know quietly what I realised? I don't know whether I realised this before the last podcast we did, or just in the off time where we haven't been doing it. The gap between Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez in qualifying is bigger than the gap between Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo in general. It's just because Perez has got a better car, he's up here. He's in fifth where Max is on pole, so you don't notice it as much as Lando being sixth and Daniel Ricciardo being 14th. But yeah, the gap's bigger between those two people.
Let's have a look. Let's use an out-and-out pace track as a comparison.
Yeah, the last
Italy.
race is a good one because it was like not this race gone, but the race before. Sergio was like 0.6 off. Max.
9 tenths.
9
Wow.
tenths was it?
9
yeah.
tenths. And yeah, there was only 4 tenths between Lando and Danny.
Fair dues.
Yeah, but I didn't notice it until recently. I thought, fuck, it's crazy when you consider like the hassle we've been giving Daniel Ricciardo, like with the gap he's had to his teammate. But realistically, the only reason you don't see it with Sergio Perez is because he's kind of up there anyway, scoring points.
Yeah, I think in his case, it's probably not that he's underperforming; it's that Verstappen is so in a league of his own that it's.
Well, this is what makes me think: is fucking Lando Norris just doing an incredible job?
There is every possibility.
I mean, let's have a look. I mean, this week, if you look at Q1, there was 1.4 seconds in Q1 between Max and Perez.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bit mad.
And 3 tenths between Lando and Danny.
Give Danny his Red Bull drive back.
So, yeah, it's possibly not as dire, but it's bad qualifying.
Bad qualifying, and I think the position that Daniel Ricciardo's in is he's needed to finish, like to qualify better, because they're in such a like tight battle for that championship, for fourth. So yeah, if they're hemorrhaging points one way, it's obviously going to stand out.
Yeah, I'd never even looked at it like that. But yeah, you are right.
Hashtag justice for Dan.
Yeah, we may have been a little bit unfair because, I mean, the margins in qualifying are that tight because the field is a hell of a lot closer. When there's only a difference of 3 tenths between getting to Q2 and really pushing and starting 16th at best. Yeah.
There is a fine line between pole and Latifi. No, there's not. Sorry, no.
That's a big line. That is a big line. Ferrari, second and third. I thought Sainz was going to have the pace to actually get second at one point because he was really pushing Leclerc towards the sort of latter half of the race when everything was on dry tyres, and then he just fell away.
Yeah. But the same thing happened at the beginning of the race as well, didn't it? It's like he started well and then just drifted off somewhere. I'm a bit confused with Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari.
I kind of know what you mean, yeah. He's just been very... You don't know what you're going to get, do you? One race to the next.
I see, like, not to bring, like, I don't want to start like the new Fernando Alonso thing with me, not to bring all roads back to Lando, but you kind of get the thing where they were pretty evenly matched, but I'd say Carlos had the edge in that team. I'm sure some people disagree with this, but I think Lando Norris is a better driver than Charles Leclerc.
You may have mentioned that once or twice.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think if you were to stick Carlos Sainz back in that McLaren, I don't think it would be an equal race anymore between him and Lando. I think Lando would have him now.
Potentially, yeah.
Is
that the Ferrari effect though, where Ferrari breaks drivers?
I think it might be, and I'm still not sure. Like as much as they say, because it's a bit like Red Bull in this respect. maybe more so actually, because at least you've got recent history of Vettel and Ricciardo to go back to. But you kind of, even when they're saying, yeah, we give our drivers equal status, you're going, really? Are you sure about that? So you still get that feeling that Charles Leclerc is Ferrari's guy.
Oh, completely and totally.
Yeah. So I wonder if that sort of filters down. Even if he's getting the same bits and stuff, does it just end up being sitting there on the corner going, yeah, Charles Leclerc's sort of our guy, but we'll give you the parts that we give Charles, but we kind of really love Charles.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it just could be the Ferrari effect. I can only think of one driver that's moved on from Ferrari and had major success, and that was Nigel Mansell.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of anyone else that's left Ferrari and done better.
No.
Ferrari done better. No,
I'm struggling.
I mean, Luca Bordeaux couldn't have done worse.
It's not the same as better, though, is it?
No. Well, I would argue just the fact that he left. If he was to do worse driving when he left for Ferrari, we'd have seen an obituary.
No, it'd still be going. It'd be I'm not. No, I can't say what I was about to say next. Which driver?
Yes, you can. Go for it.
I can't say which driver he'd be fighting with for lack of pace and still carrying on in a 2010 race.
Schumacher?
No. You know, and I'm not saying anything. All may not become clear. But Sainz just. 1 minute he's in with a chance of winning this. The next, he's a bit of an also-ran.
I think it's the whole situation, isn't it? Ferrari is. I know we say this every year, but Ferrari's going to be fascinating next year.
Well, apparently, Charles Leclerc has said that the rest of this season is an experiment for how to get the strategy right for next year.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's what they're doing, is it? They're experimenting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the actual words were, this is from Autosport, Leclerc sees final F1 races as Ferrari strategy test bed.
Wild. Like strategy test. Not like we're just gonna send the cars around to do like aero tests and stuff like that. No. Not looking for performance. We're gonna test strategy. That is the fucking craziest admission I've ever heard in Formula One.
But isn't it the most Ferrari thing?
Oh yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt, the most Ferrari thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where Ferrari goes. I mean, I'm going to be dead honest. I really fucking hope they fail spectacularly next year. And I think this year was almost as good because they started so well and fell away so quickly. And I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I don't
know, because it gets to a certain point watching Ferrari repeatedly shoot themselves in the foot, and it's just like, is there anything else on?
No, but you know what the twist was this year? The twist was this year, for half the season, they had the best car, and they were still 60 points behind.
They kept finding different ways to do it. We had the tyres. We've had, what else? We had Leclerc driving into stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what
Sainz catching fire and then rolling back down the hill.
What was the comment from somebody on? Keep talking. I'm just looking for a comment that somebody sent us on Sunday during the race, and I said I might nick it for the podcast title.
What it's like is sending the Three Stooges into a china shop. Like you know the outcome of what's gonna happen here when all three of them walk in. That essentially there isn't going to be a plate left on the shelves, but it's still entertaining to watch it.
Sorry, I'm just frantically scrolling.
It's a good job that Ferrari fans are actually Formula One fans and don't bother listening to podcasts. Otherwise, we'll probably get in trouble for this.
Tweet your opinions to @a total shunt.
Don't be silly. Ferrari fans would just electrocute themselves with their own phones. Chances of them making through this whole podcast without some sort of accident is very fucking grim.
Yeah, what was it? Leclerc to start on Cornettos.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I saw one as well where someone posted like a snippet of the rain when they were in the rain delay at the start of the race. And it was like, Ferrari, prepare hard tyres.
I'm still gutted, I'm still gutted my little meme of the marked safe from Ferrari strategy. That did not get the fucking traction it deserved.
But it'll come in handy again in the future.
We called a show after it.
Yeah, there will be further opportunities to roll that one out.
That's fair.
So yeah, I think tonight's show is Leclerc to start on Cornettos. Nick L, thank you very much for that.
Oh, should we start having a competition for people to name the episodes after the race?
Yeah, I think we'll do that.
Why not?
Yeah, you've got to do it on the Discord watch party chat. And then that'll get more people. That'll get more people on our Discord.
Don't say that. It's supposed to be like a sneaky thing. You don't tell people to do that. That's like saying we're going to stick this behind a paywall to make more money. That's not the way you advertise things.
Well, Discord's free.
No, yeah, but what we're saying is we're going to do it to engage with our audience more.
On Discord.
It's a nicer way of putting it.
If you're capable of downloading a podcast or streaming it on Spotify, you know what we're on about.
No.
Oh, let's talk about Red Bull.
No, not the ideal weekend for Max. Could have had pole twice.
Yeah. I mean, could have walked away as champion this weekend.
I mean, he'd have needed some other crazy stuff to happen. Even
it was mathematically possible before the race, but a rare strategy mistake from Red Bull in qualifying, not putting enough fuel in the car.
Yeah, a very Ferrari move.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we didn't get to learn any new swear words because he just used the tried and tested ones. At least I think that was what was behind the beeps. Rightfully fuming as well because he was, I think he was something like 3/10 up.
Oh yeah, he would have been on pole if he'd have been able to finish the lap.
I think he'd have got pole from the first lap as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he was up on that one. And aborted it, and yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't actually get to see much of qualifying thanks to the absolute fucking dick. Wherever you are, you should be tracked down and fucking publicly humiliated. We had a DDoS attack on the Three Legs Four Wheels website on Saturday.
No way.
During qualifying, yeah. Yeah, we were getting up to, at one point, it peaked at 3,000 hits a second. Just to try and take us down.
What a fucking asshole.
And of course, it was during qualifying.
Do you know what? That fucking Matt guy from what's that other podcast called? What's it called?
WTF1. I honestly don't think it was them. I've traced it, and the source of the attack looks to have been in South Korea.
Ah. That's exactly where I would have routed my fucking connection if I was Matt as well.
But yes, I was.
Sorry, can I just quickly? I'd just like to specify I'm fucking joking.
I haven't edited this yet.
I think for the benefit of all of us, Lee's
joking. No, so I managed to miss qualifying because unfortunately I was having to try and keep our website from not being permanently taken down. Just a thank you to Carty G for letting me know that there was a problem with it when he couldn't put his predictions in for the race.
Yeah, that was the main issue, wasn't it? That time of the week for us is not ideal.
Yeah.
Is Carty G like the Amazon exclusive version of Cardi B?
I think so.
No, he's called Gennady and he does go-karting.
Ah.
I mean, it didn't help at the time. I wasn't actually at home, and I was wandering around an axe throwing bar, holding a laptop, trying to set it up for a DJ set.
Wow.
Everyone's got to have a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I missed the first, missed Max's first lap. Didn't know he'd aborted it. It was on, but I was deep in tech. But yeah, he could have got pole. Started 8th. Very unmaxed, like, and 100% the team's fault. And mistakes were made.
Yeah, so he had a shitty off the line, lost
4 places.
Very briefly lost 5 for a corner or 2. Ricardo got ahead of him, and then he got back ahead. And then made a right meal of trying to get the places back.
Yeah, no. At one point before Russell and Schumacher had their coming together, he was actually running last. Because he passed George and Mick on their way into the pits.
He had to change his tyres, didn't he?
Yeah, because he completely killed his tyres when he had the big lock-up, and then managed to fight back to 7th. I mean, that is. We're saying 7th place is an absolute nightmare situation for him.
It's not, is it?
It isn't.
It's all right.
I mean, he's still going to be world champion. It's just not going to happen for another race or two. But Perez, on the other hand, fantastic start.
Yeah. Because I must admit, I got that distracted by how shitty Verstappen start with. It was only when we watched the replay, it was like, oh, actually, Perez is ahead here. Look at this. It took me a few corners to realise. It
was the second phase of the start that did it for Perez, because they showed the reaction times between Perez and Leclerc, and they were both identical to the 1,000th, which is bloody impressive. And then by the aftermath of turn 1, he was away.
Mm-hmm.
There were times when Leclerc looked like he was going to go for it, but Perez was defending perfectly.
Yeah.
And then we get the safety car issue.
Yes.
It's a rant about the FIA. Most people have had this. Why do they need to review things like that after the race that's going to affect not only the result but the actual winner?
Mm-hmm. I suppose in this, they wanted to talk to him, didn't they? But yeah, it's an annoyance.
When you get the caption up on screen about a leader saying "will be investigated after the race," it's like, oh, for God's sake, can we just win this on track and not in the stewards' room?
Yeah, do you know what? Right, it's crazy because you pay people, the race stewards and all the other people like pushing buttons and watching the race to make these decisions are getting paid fucking huge salaries to make these decisions. Fucking do it in a reasonable fucking time, then. Yeah, I don't think unless something happens on like within the last sort of 3 laps of the race. Surely it's fucking stupid. Or should should there be a how a complaint has to be lodged within a certain number of laps, otherwise it doesn't get pulled.
Yeah, it's either 3 or 5.
Yeah, it's got to be noted by race control, hasn't it? And then it's passed to the stewards if they see something they like.
So I think it should be that, and then it should be 5 laps. If you note something, it should be 5 laps until the penalty is given, or there's no penalty given.
Yeah, I mean the safety car came out on lap 36 for Tsunoda. There were 59 laps in that race, and it was fairly late on. I think it was into the 40s when they said it was under investigation, and will be investigated after the race. And all right, if it's something that happens late on, or they need to speak to a driver, do it between the end of the race and the podium.
Or surely the team as well could have spoken for Perez in this occasion, and I think he said with the first one, because of the spray coming off the car, he was struggling to keep within the 10 lengths. I'm sure someone on Red Bull pit wall could have said, that's what was going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the relevant bit of the FIA document here. It was admitted while the lights of the safety car were still on, Perez had failed to keep within 10 car lengths of the safety car between the exit of turn 13 and turn 14. When questioned during the hearing, Perez said that the conditions were very wet and that it was very difficult to closely follow the safety car with little heat in his tyres and brakes. Although the track was wet in parts, we do not accept the conditions were such as to make it impossible or dangerous for Perez to have maintained the required less than 10 car lengths gap. Nevertheless, we took into account the wet conditions. What?
Yeah, so it doesn't count, but we'll take it into account anyway.
Yeah. It also seems, I think it's kind of an unarguable argument as well, because they can turn around and say, oh, well, we don't accept that the conditions were that bad. You're not in a Formula One car, mate. That's the, like, it's Perez that was in the car following the safety car with the spray.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy, like, he got a 5-second penalty for one of them, I think, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yes.
5-second penalty and a reprimand.
Yeah, I think it's the right choice. No one, unless like you are a hardened fucking Leclerc or Ferrari fan, nobody wants to see a fucking race
No.
like decided after the course of the race. And even then, if you are a Leclerc fan, do you really want that? He's not going to win a world championship this year. He's not in the hunt for that. You're not going to see him on the podium. So what do you actually get out of it? The people that are calling for that were calling for this to be done. I don't know what you're going to get out of it in the long run.
I think it's just out of the current phase of bloody tribalism in F1.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right. But I'm glad it wasn't. It would have been fucking awful to get that, especially because like Perez really deserved that win.
Mm-hmm.
You might have had that one safety car thing, but you've got to, like, if you look at that through over the whole race, he dropped back slightly behind a safety car. In between that, he also led the race like for the entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of the race, he took so much pressure from Charles Leclerc, and then when he was informed by his team, look, we might get a penalty after this, he cleared enough time to where the 5-second penalty didn't lose in the race.
Yeah.
In those conditions.
Mm-hmm.
He had a fucking storm and drive and deserved that win.
Yeah, which is why he's going down as my first vote for Rockstar.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He
Yeah.
was absolutely a rock star this weekend. No fucking questions.
Yeah. Other rock stars, George Russell, because it was his idea to go onto the slicks, not the teams. They were putting him for Inters.
I think that is a.
He certainly showed he had a pair of rocks.
Yeah.
And he did end up with fastest lap.
There is a fine line between bravery and stupidity, but it's
He was treading that tightrope.
To be perfectly honest, it was always going to be him, though, wasn't it? He was always the guy that was stuck at the back with nothing to lose. That might as well roll the dice to see if it could get him something.
Well, I don't know, because, I mean, Sean, you said Ocon was going to be the first. Half a dozen people that was on the chat with said Ocon was going to be the first, and then his engine went foom. It was like, oh, right, okay, so it's not going to be him.
Ocon, is it?
Other rock stars. Kind of special mention to Ferrari. Well done, you didn't fuck up.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair.
Danny Rick for getting a top 5 finish.
Just a good,
solid race.
good race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Albon for getting back in the car and doing a race like 2.5 weeks after really not being so good.
Yeah. Wankers. Latifi.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Or whoever trained Latifi how to use mirrors. Alpine Renault engines.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a shame that like Alpine should have had a good result there.
Well, yeah, Renault engines definitely in the wanker category. The weakness of Haas front wings.
Yes. Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Anything else?
I can't think of anything else. There wasn't too much wankery.
Yeah. And that just leaves the participation award.
So
Bottas.
did we mention Gasly? Did we mention Lando for Rockstar as well?
No, we didn't actually.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Rockstar.
Whole
one of his-
McLaren,
yeah,
whole
good
McLaren
guy.
situation.
Full McLaren Rockstar
Yeah.
performance. Participation award. I'm saying Bottas. You're saying Gasly.
I think Bottas, simply because he didn't get a point, Gasly at least achieved something with his day.
But was he 10th?
Yes.
Default. Yeah. Yeah, he stayed on the track.
I think that's it. I
happened
think
to be one of the ones.
Gasly was, I think, the lowest placed of people who didn't have some kind of debacle, because obviously Bottas nearly tripped over Russell. Both the Hasses had an event. Russell had several events. So, yeah, I suppose you could argue Gasly, most shit of those who didn't have shenanigan.
The only interesting Tsunoda did was crash. If we're going for participation awards.
No. I think he had a big impact on the race, not his own race.
Oh, he did have, he did have an impact on the race, I suppose so. But
Gasly, genuinely very immaterial. I would say probably the same for Bottas.
Which this is why I'm going for Bottas, because
doesn't even get a point for his efforts.
Nothing would have changed if Bottas hadn't have been there this weekend.
That's very true.
Okay, yeah,
no
win.
material effect on the weekend whatsoever, which to me is the ultimate participation award.
It's the very essence of participating in something. Is just being there. Yeah, I'll take it.
You know, if his race was a colour, undercoat.
Got undercoat, beige. Yeah. Or do you know what I think it is? This is something a friend of mine says about what he did was run, because my friend's friend is a runner, and he loves running. So if someone turns around and says, I'm really into sports, and he said, what you do? He said, I said, I run all the time. And I remember my friend turned around to him once and said, look, running's not a sport. It's an element of most other sports. So that's what Bottas was. He was just an element of the sport this weekend.
Yeah, I'd go
They're
for that.
They're both strong candidates, aren't they? Let's be honest.
So, moving ahead, we have an earlier start than normal this weekend for Japan.
God, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, 6 a.m. qualifying, 7 a.m. race. God.
That's fine.
I get up early during the week. I sleep at the weekend.
I've got a gig Friday night.
Where are you playing?
Quids in. Funnily enough, it's a bar over here, and the entrance fee to the place is £1.
It's a very self-explanatory system.
Yeah, I mean, this pub does what it says on it. It used to be every drink in there was £1, but we're going back about 15 years when they scrapped that policy.
Yeah. Still pretty cheap though.
Still a cheap, but it's very cheap for me because I'm playing. We get free drinks all night.
Woo!
Which I'm not going to be able to take advantage of because I've got to be up at o'clock in the morning on Saturday for qualifying. So Japan, let's have some predictions. We all know the circuit. Suzuka, only figure 8 race on the calendar. Yada yada yada. Definitely a chassis circuit rather than out and out power. Who's going to finish behind Max?
Yeah. I'm going to go Verstappen, Russell, Sainz.
I think Russell's new engine will serve him well at this race.
That is
Intriguing.
That is a good point.
It seems like a track. I think this race and it's Texas, isn't it? After
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think these are the best opportunities Mercedes have at a good result, if not breaking the win duck this year. It's so hard, like to make it interesting. If you just being honest with yourself, it's so hard not just to say Max is going to win, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I said Max is going to win.
Yeah,
That's why I said who's going to finish behind Max.
yeah. I want to believe, like, I'm literally that poster in Fox Mulder's office. Only instead of a UFO, it's a picture of every other Formula One driver apart from Max.
Yeah, but when you do must see audio, you change it to the exact one in Fox Mulder's office.
No, well, that's Alien Addict when I go on that. The must see audio is a much different beast now. But yeah, I don't know. I want Russell to win a race. I was only saying this the other day that if Russell can win a race before going into next year, it will put him in such good stead if Mercedes make a decent car, because he's going in without the win without the win on his back, to shake off.
Doing a Hakkinen effectively.
Yeah, because I think if he can go into a season like that and that car is in a good position, I think you'll see Lewis and George fight for a championship with whoever else is around. But I always find it difficult to conceive the guy that wins his first race and fights for a championship in the same season. Seems like an ask. Not fights for a championship, but wins the championship in the first year he's won a race. I think is a big ask. So I'm going to say George.
The last
George
driver I can remember who fought for a championship in the first race he won a season was Lewis in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he didn't. Yeah, that's what I mean. But he didn't win the championship, did he? That's what I mean. It's a big ask for somebody to win his to win his first race in a season and win the championship that year. But yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna go George win. It would take shenanigans with Verstappen. So I would imagine if for George to win, Verstappen has to not finish. Perez, Leclerc.
I am going to be really boringly predictable and go for Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez.
Yeah. See, my predictions aren't predictions, are they? I've realised this over the
It's more like a wish list.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like prediction league for me. It's fan fiction.
Well, if you want to try our prediction /fan fiction league, go to 3legsportwheels.com now that the site's back up and running. Thank you, South Korean git. Go to the games section and the prediction league's in there. Predict the top 3 pole, fastest lap, number of DNFs, and will there be a safety car? Funnily enough, everyone predicted that there'd be a safety car in Singapore.
Standard.
There's never been a Singapore Grand Prix without one.
I'm surprised it wasn't a red flag, actually.
I think they're being very careful over red flags. Well, we had the 1 hour rain delay.
Yeah,
that was a confusing thing. So when does the clock start? When does the timer start? And are we in the window yet?
Oh, do you know why they did that?
Because they delayed the whole procedure.
Yeah, but it was because they were allowing the rain to go off more just so the teams didn't get fucking soaking on the grid. It was for the mechanics more than anything else.
They've got gazebos.
What was the? I can't remember. Someone sent a message to me during the race saying all this stuff about Red Bull going over budget caps. I can't find it. I find it odd that they have movable mobile homes to put over the drivers while the rest of the teams are sharing umbrellas.
I saw that one. Although I did notice during the pit stop, Red Bull seemed to have a lot of their radios on the mechanics covered by what looks suspiciously like Tesco freezer bags. I'm sure it was something more high-tech than that, but it looks suspiciously like a Tesco or similar supermarket brand Ziploc Tesco freezer bag.
Well, they're meant to keep moisture out,
Yeah,
so
well, yeah,
it works.
True.
This whole thing with the budget cap as well, that is interesting because, I mean, every team is denying it's them and shifting the blame towards someone else. The current rumour is that there's one team gone considerably over and one team within 5%. And no one seems to know what's going on. Now, apparently it's going to be released on Wednesday.
Wednesday news? That's
Wednesday
very controversial.
News. So I guess we'll get to find out what the hell has happened this week, and is anyone getting punished? Because there's talk of exclusion from championships, loss of constructors' points, fines.
There's nobody. The only people that are talking about exclusion from championships are the same people that think that what happened at the last race last year was the worst thing that's ever happened in a car in the history of motor cars, and that knocked the death of JFK off the top spot. They're the only people that think that people should be excluded from championships.
I was going to say, I thought the worst thing to happen in a car was Taki Inui. And I just want to point out the exclusion from championship would be this season, not last season.
Do you know what I really hope for? Because they give a 5% wiggle room, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is about $7 million, I believe.
Yes, because
it's what it worked out.
Yeah, it's 143 million. So yeah, it's 7 million and change.
I want Red Bull to have gone over by 6.9 million.
Oh, that would be. Oh God, no. Staying off social media next for the rest of this week. But yeah, apparently we'll get to find that out in the next few days. Also, the other bit of sort of F1 related news. Apparently, the big boss of Red Bull, Dietrich Mateschitz, isn't in the best of health at the moment. Christian Horner said at the weekend it wasn't his place to comment on it, but he's been notably absent from the last few races. And there are concerns, so obviously sending positive thoughts his way, because, like it or not, he has revolutionised F1, albeit unintentionally.
I think not just in F1 as well. I see lots of the sort of Red Bull extreme sport lots are sort of his wacky brainchildren. So
yeah, if it involves combustion, internal or external.
I mean, realistically, he just kind of doesn't really deserve any heat. You know, he's like, he comes across as a Bond baddie. That's fair. Like, if for someone to turn around and say, you know, like you could put him in a war movie, let's say a Second World War movie, and he could quite easily be one of the baddies. But I don't think he's done anything bad. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God, no! No, I mean certainly not.
If anything, I can't think of another person which has given so many people Formula One chances. We're talking
Helmut Marko's boss here, not Helmut Marko.
Yeah.
The owner of the company.
He's the one putting the money in.
Yeah.
Well,
and it all started when he was a toothpaste salesman with jet lag.
Well,
he's crazy.
There you go. It happens.
But just the sheer like stretch that a fizzy drinks company has made. I tell you what though, it could usher in changes if someone like that goes, like for the Formula One team. You know, it's things that have a let's say like an entrepreneurial figurehead. That then get switched to being like more of a board structure, tend to fucking suffer from it. You know, the vision of the original vision seems to change slightly. I mean, I think your best example of that was the lack of Steve Jobs in Apple, wasn't it? You know, it's regardless of whether you like that company or the products they make a lot, but when he died, the vision of that company shifted to maybe something that wasn't quite like, didn't have the spirit of the company in the first place.
Or the lack of Frank Williams in Williams.
Fucking perfect example. Should have come up with that one instead of a tech company. Given the podcast.
Who'd have thought this thing would be about F1?
There you go.
I know. But yeah. Oh, well, I hope it gets better.
Well, we appear to have come full circle and got back to talking about F1 again, just in time to wrap up and say, if you want to get in touch, you can be old school and email us through threelegsporwheels@gmail.com. We're on the socials at 3legsporwheels, website 3legsporwheels.com.
Assuming it's not been hacked.
Assuming it's not been hacked and it's still there. It was still there last time I looked, and it better still be there in about 20 minutes when I upload this show to it. And if you want to get hold of us on Twitter, we are...
At Sean Cowper.
I'm at A Total Shunt.
I am at Pablo100, and you can get Chris at Flood21. And, of course, if you want to help us out buying software licenses, server costs, spares and repairs, talking of which I need some new headphones because mine got stood on Saturday night. I'll pay for those myself because it was me that broke them. You can go to Patreon, patreon.com/3legsporwheels, and donate anything from one largely relevant currency unit upwards.
Or even £1.
Or a pound. Because that appears not to be relevant at the moment. We will be back next week, utterly sleep-deprived, or having our body clocks completely ruined by having to spend the weekend on Japanese time and Isle of Man time at the same time. I'm trying to work out how many times I got in there. Was that right? Yeah, I think it was. Right, have a good week, and enjoy the Japanese Grand Prix, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.